Hopps. You ready to make the world a better place?
And giddy up.
Scared now?
Is that Kevin?
In this video, we will dive into the movie Zootopia. We will discuss its storyline, summarize the plot, and explore the cast and character. Additionally, we will cover the movie's production details and box office performance. Finally, we will provide reviews and share personal reaction. So, let's get started. Little Judy Hopps de la Saba is performing in a Carnival play, discussing how their world used to live in a predator-dominated society. Until now, when predator and prey live together, Judy has dreams of becoming the first rabbit cop in Zootopia. But most people, including her own parents, Stu and Bonnie, don't like and Bonnie Hunt discourage her from pursuing this goal. After the show, Judy, dressed in her police outfit, walks around the carnival and sees a group of kids getting picked on by a fox bully named Gideon Gray. He took their tickets and Judy decided to make her very fast bust. She kicks Gideon in the nose, leading to her getting glared in the face. Gideon says Judy does not know when to quit. She taken reveals that she got 2 tickets back for the kids. She stands up unfazed, saying she really does not know when to quit. As an adult, Judy, now played by the Ginnifer Goodwin, excels at the police academy and eventually becomes the first rabbit police officer in Zootopia. She leaves her parents and 275 siblings in Bunnyboro and makes her move to Zootopia. As she arrives to the police department, she meets officers Ned Torrance urge that calls Judy cute, even it's only okay for business to call each other cute. She begins her job with Chief Bogo, assigning her to parking duty. It is clear that nobody on the force thinks Judy is capable of anything else since she is a small rabbit. Compared to the other larger predator animal, not ready to give up easily. Judy makes a goal to give 200 parking tickets before noon. She succeeds and even has to give herself a parking ticket. Judy goes into an elephant ice cream shop and sees a fox named Nick Wilde. Jason Bateman, with a smaller fox named Finnick, told Mr. Jr. that Nick says in his son. Nick asks for a gigantic popsicle, but he vendor refuses to sell to him. Judy sees Nick talking to Finnick with disappointment and steps in to defend them by stating that the elephant are unsanitary by having one elephant use his trunk to scoop ice cream and place sprinkle without proper protection. Judy buys the popsicle for Nick and Finnick, and she thanks her. Judy later comes across Nick and Finnick, melting the popsicle and collecting the juice before taking it to Thunderdome, so they can use Finky's paw prints to make smaller popsicle and sell to rodent. Judy confronts Nick over his deception, but the fox managed to evade her. Feeling less upbeat, Judy gives more parking tickets the next day and is met with scorn from the other animal. The bigger cops are Jem called to chase after a crook named Duck Wilson Allen who has a bag with something stolen. Judy gives chase and follows him to Little Rodinetia. A giant doughnut from a shop is knocked over and nearly crushes a show named Frou Frou. Lee let him, but Judy catches the donut and saves Frou Frou, and then uses the doughnut to capture Duck. Instead of praise, Judy is met with disdain by Bogo, who says she overstepped her authority and caused public engagement for a thief that was carrying stolen plant bulbs. Moments later, Mrs. de Otterton enters and asks Bogo for help in finding her husband, who is the latest in a series of missing animals. Judy volunteers to help on the case before Mrs. Orton leaves, but Bogo fires her for being insubordinate. However, he opens the door to find Mrs. Orton talking to Assistant Mayor, who supports Judy on the case. Bogo then gives Judy 48 hours to find Mr. Orton, or she is off her force. Judy looks over footage of the last time Mr. Orton was seen, and she spots Nick. She finds him carrying Finnick in a stroller and approaches him to help her since is her only lead. She pulls out a carrot pen that recorded Nick admitting to some of his crime to blackmail him into helping her, leaving Finnick to ditch Nick. Nick guides Judy to the last place he knows that Mr. Otterton went a notorious establishment. Once after heads, Yax takes Judy and Nick to the yoga instructor where they are told that Mr. Otterton was last seen getting in a big white car. Judy and Nick go to the DMV, Department of Mammal Vehicle, to run a license plate number. Unfortunately, everyone that works there is a fraud. Nick goes to his buddy Flash reminds Percy to get informed, but Flash is naturally really slow. Judy gives him to the number, but Nick interrupts Flash by telling him a joke. Flash then goes on a hell. His co-worker, Percilia, Kristen Bell, the same joke, prolonging everything. By the time Judy and Nick get out, it's night time. The two track the plane to a compound in Thundertown. The vehicle, however, belongs to the most feared crime boss in town, Mr. Big marries Judy and Nick are taken by Mr. Big's polar bear bodyguard. Mr. Big has a bone to pick with Nick for the latter giving him a rug made from a skunk butt. He is ready to have Judy and Nick eyes until his daughter, Fro Fro, arrives. She manages to convince Mr. Big to spare them because Judy saved her life. Mr. Big then explains that he called for Mr. Otterton to be his florist, but when his driver, Manchester Jesse Corchi, went to pick him up, Mr. Otterton went savage. His natural wit, Otter, in his tickets, sprung out and frightened Manchas. Judy and Nick go to the Manchas home for inform. Manchas mentioned Mr. Otterton talking about the night owls. Quickly manages goes to sewage too. He chases after Judy and Nick. Nick holds into Judy as they swing under a bridge to escape the panther. Later the ZPD arrives, but Manchas is not anywhere to be found. Chief Bogo orders Judy to turn in her badge, but Nick steps in and defends Judy, saying they have done more hour in the investigation. Bogo reluctantly agrees. Judy thanks Nick for sticking up for her. He mentions this reminding him of when he was a child and he wanted to be a ranger scout. But the other kids billed him for being a fox. So he decided to spitefully act like a fox would, cunning and sneaky. The two go to the Belvedere to ask to view security footage. We see that the mayor, Lionheart, J.K. Simon, is mean to his assistant mayor and refers to her as Smellweather. The pair see in the rainforest district couple of wolves howling, which are believed to be the night owl. Judy and Nick go to the laboratory, where they find not only Mr. Otterton, but also the other 14 missing mammals, all of whom have gone savage. Entering the room is Mayor Lionheart with the doctor. Judy films their conversation on her phone, in which Lionheart expresses worry for all the savage mammals are predator, and he could be in the trouble. Judy's goes off, leading her and Nick to run away from the official in the building. They escape through the drain. Judy contacts Clawhauser to tell Bogo that she has found all the mammal. Lionheart is arrested for his possible involvement in the case. He proclaims his innocence and states he was trying to help them. A press conference is held for Judy. Before she goes up, she thanks Nick for his help and she gives him an application to join the police academy so he can be her partner. Judy goes up to speak. When asked how these incidents occurred, she recalls something she heard back at the lab from the doctor and says that it was biological instincts that led the predator to revert to their natural instincts. Nick overheard and is heartbreaking. Judy really only sees him as something to fear. He leaves her with the application, which he already filled out. Prejudice against predator, suppressed through Zootopia. Clawhauser is demoted because he's told that people don't want to see a predator when they first walk in. Pop star Gazelles Shakira organizes a rally, but it is overwhelmed by a predator hate. Mrs. Otterton is still unable to see her husband. Judy is brought in with Bogo to meet Belvedere, now officially mayor to be the face of the ZPD, but she feels responsible for the predator hate spreading through the city, and the effective resign. Judy returns to the Bunny Barrow to work with her parents. To her surprise, they are now working with Gideon Gray. He apologizes to Judy for how he behaved when they were kids, and Judy forgives him. The little bunnies are playing in the garden when Stu tells them to stay away from the flower, which Gideons refer to as a night howler. Judy parents explain how her uncle accidentally had no one once and went crazy. The realization hits Judy that this is what was causing the predator to go savage. She takes her parents' truck and rushes back to Zootopia. Judy finds Phoenix and asks him for help in finding Nick. When she does find him, she apologizes for what she said and how she made Nick feel. He forgives her. Back on the case, Judy and Nick look at Jock Westleton sealing bottles. He has something to go do with the night, however, but he won't walk talk. Judy and Nick bring him to Mr. Big and prepare to have him iced until Duke admit he was collecting night howler and he brought them to the laboratory. Judy and Nick find the laboratory and see a sheep handing the night howlers to create a serum. The sheep is on the phone discussing how she shot serum at the infected mammal, including Mr. Orcherton. After creating a diversion, the pair try to collect the evidence but are quickly pursued by rams. Judy and Nick hop on a train car to escape with the ram attacking them. On the outside, Judy drills the cart, causing most of the evidence to be destroyed, but luckily, Nick saved the case of the serum. The two rush to the ZBT to get the evidence in, but they are found by Belvedere at the museum. She asks to see the evidence, but Judy is suspicious as to how Belvedere found them. It becomes clear that Belvedere is the true mastermind behind the case, and she has Judy and Nick Brown thrown into a pit. Belvedere's plan is to turn everyone against the predator population, and she offers Judy a chance to join her. But she refuses. Belvedere shoots Nick with a dart to make him go savage as well. It appears as true Nick is ready to attack Judy, but they reveal their own sham and state that they replaced Belvedere. Darts with blueberries from the farm Belvedere, having already called Jacobs, vows to frame Judy and Nick like she did with Lionheart. But Judy recorded her confession with a carrot pen, which she plays back just as the cops arrive, leading to Belvedere's arrest. With Belvedere's behind bars, Lionheart returns to power. An antidote is created for the mammals infected with the night hallward serum. The Autotones are finally reunited. Things in Zootopia are back to normal, where predators are coexisting peacefully again. Clawhuster gets his old job back, and Judy rejoins the force. Nick graduates from the police academy and becomes the first Fox officer on the force, and Judy's new partner. Their first assignment together is to track down a street racer. A car speed past them on the street, and they chase after it. They discover that the predator is none other than Flash. The credits feature the characters watching a concert from Gazelle. When Zootopia hits the theater in 2016, it was not just another talking animal movie. It was a surprise hit that made everyone wonder, why is this movie that good? Disney, usually known for its princess and talking toys, threw us a curveball with a clever, fast-paced crime story set in a city full of anthropomorphic animals. Suddenly, the world was obsessed with Judy Hopps' determination and Nick Wilde's charm. But what really made Zootopia and stand out was not just the quickly character or the slick animation. It was the surprising depth, from social commentary on prejudice to subtle at political correctness. This movie was not just for kids, it was smart, sharp, and somehow managed to be both hilarious and thought provoking, while it did not have the iconic status of other Disney's agent. Zootopia quietly became a cultural phenomenon. So, is it still Disney's most underrated hit? Let's dig into how his still movie about a bunny cop and a fox hustler pulled off the ultimate surprise. Who would have thought that a bunny cop and a silly fox would deliver a box office knockout? Zootopia did exactly that, carving its place as just as the third Disney's animated movie to top $1 billion at the box office. Box Office Mojo. What started as a fun-filled animated caper about animal living in a bustling urban jungle turned into a global phenomenon, not just for its catchy tune and talking animal, but for its surprisingly deep dive into diversity, inclusion, and social justice, all without feeling like a TED talk for kids. Originally in Hollywood, it mostly did. Despite recent trouble in sequel land, the vast majority are financially successful. Films are either sequel, remakes, reboots, parts of an already popular franchise, or adaptations of books or other existing work. So, on the rare occasion, a truly original film breaks through the pack. Is cast to celebrate Disney's Zootopia crossed the $1 billion worldwide box office mark this week, surpassing another Disney's classic, The Lion King, as the second biggest original movie ever, behind only Avatar. Zootopia, a buddy cop adventure that explores a world populated by animals, was an entirely original idea. It is not based on anything other than the imagination of Disney's brain trust. The list of top grossing films of all time is inundated with films that are based on other things. Of the top 100, just 15 are truly original properties. This list does not include James Cameron Titanic, the second highest grossing film of all time, because it's based on a historical event. There is also some debate over whether or not Disney's Frozen is a truly original film. It would be second on this chart with $1.277 billion. While inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale, The Snow Queen, the film was significantly changed during development. Another borderline case is Roland Emmerich's disaster film 2012, which does not appear on the list because the director himself said the film was inspired by a book. Emmerich Films' Independence Day, however, is included. It's really tough to crack the top 100 grossing film of all time with an original idea, and it's even tough to pass the $1 billion mark with one. Zootopia is the first original Disney film ever to do so. Still, it lags far behind other Disney films that are not original, including Toy Story 3, two Star Wars sequel, four Marvel's movies, and two entries in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Disney deserves a lot of credit, despite an obsessive strategy of adapting all of its cartoon into live-action film. The studio has led a charge of originally with many of its animated features. Six of the top 15 highest grossing original films are Disney Pixar's films. And of course, several Disney films that are now part of huge franchises like Toy Story were once original. The list of original box office success is a tribute to filmmaker Christopher Nolan in particular. with Inception and Interstellar. Nolan is the rare artist who has just made wholly original film that also smashed the box office. That said, much of what raised the profile as a director in the first place was his Batman trilogy. As for Zootopia, Disney is reportedly thinking about a sequel. When it comes to evaluating the financial performance of top movies, it is not about what a film crosses at a box office. The true tale is told when production budgets beyond talent participations and other costs collide with box office crosses and ancillary revenue from VOD to DVD and TV. To get close to that mysterious end of the equation, that line is repeating our most valuable blockbuster tournament using data culled by seasoned and trusted sources. Next up on the profitability, tournament number 5 is Zootopia. If you want to ponder why his first dollar gross store business is dead, consider the fact that half of the top 12 most profitable film of the year on Deadline's list stared animated or computer generated animal. It shows the importance of the family film business and the effectiveness of living up familiar sounding voices at document discount to the cartoon star of the film. Nobody does this better than Disney and Illumination. The Walt Disney animation film Dystopia is such a word of animal, with a storyline that plays on theme like bullying, stereotyping, and prejudice. The heroine is a bright young female rabbit trying to make it as a police officer and attempting to solve a crime involving a fox and other unsavories. Rather than clumsily detail the plot, suffice to say that Zootopia won the Oscar for Best Animated Film. Let's see how the numbers look. Zootopia opened early last March to a $75 million domestic bow, making it the Walt Disney Animation unit's biggest opening across this hour. It was also a March record of an animated film and easily beat its live action competition. It opened earlier overseas and flew by near perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes and an cinema score. The film performed well for weeks in a dry spell on the release calendar. At the end, Zootopia grossed $341 million domestic and $446 million foreign, with a whopping $235 million in China, which to put in perspective did better in the Middle Kingdom than Captain America Civil War. The film did rise to the standard high production cost of Disney's tentpole, carrying a $150 million budget. A reasonable $35 million was expended in participation and residual and off the tops. All this left Disney with total cost of $416 million and global revenues of $700 million. According to our expert, Disney turned an eye-popping $294 million in net profit and a cash-on-cash return of 1.71. A note to incoming Paramount chairman Jim Gainpole's start a family film division right away, with a visionary to run it like Grace, Mel Gentry, and John Leicester, not at those guys grown on trees. Is there any doubt that a couple of skillfully made animated family film is the fastest way to turn around a sluggish studio? It is funny Marvel's probably thought Cap3 was gonna smash all Avengers records and make $1.6 million or something like that. They spent probably half their budget paying Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey Jr. and CGing Iron Man's suit. They probably forget their Cap itself is a $1 billion franchise without any help from an Iron Man. I mean, who else was not pumped for a Cap sequel after Cap 2. So they crammed everything for Cap 3, spent the same amount of money they did for Avenger 2. More than Avengers 1 spent half time for Iron Man, who audiences are probably getting sick of now, with a half-baked plot, which is not even a quarter as entertaining as Cap 2. Reality comes up, and the movie dropped dead on its feet. And now, an original cartoon movie featuring talking animal and a movie featuring a guy who may crude juvenile jokes and talking to camera is making over 100 million more profit than a movie featuring Cap, Iron Man, and all Avengers except for Hook and Thor. People would say, but it's Cap movie. Well, considering the trailer and ads constantly reminding it's an Avengers 2.5, not so much. No, they probably did not. And Cap 3 made 440 million more than 2. So it's hard to argue that it was a mistake making it an ensemble movie. Debatable that Cap would have been a $1 billion movie otherwise. And of course, huge hits that cost 50 to 75 million dollars are going to be more profitable. There is no way a movie with a $200 million plus budget can compete with that, but Disney is perfectly happy to spend that budget and gross a billion. It's not like any studio is going to feel bad based on the ranking in this list. Anyone who thinks the Cap franchise was as much a draw as the Avengers and Iron Man to begin with is delusional. The Captain America trilogy is Marvel's best franchise so far, quality of film wise, but even Marvel's thought of it as a hard sell because Cap is rather old fashioned in concept and Chris Evans simply does not have the kind of same name recognition that RJJ or Scarlett Johansson do. You sound jealous of Marvel's success. If it makes you feel better to go ahead, Marvel is going down in history as legendary regardless. It takes guts to accomplish what Marvel has done. Without President, I might add. How about you? A Socratic opinion. Why did you dare add? How about you? At the end of your statement, as if he was a filmmaker of sorts or as if he is required to have a sort of status befitting his Corticu. When critics on Rotten Tomato give a negative review, you don't agree with, do you say? Well, how about you go and make a better movie than my opinion about you? You are an idiot. Was you made an entire write-up to address the how about you? Walt Disney's Zootopia is one of three Walt Disney animated features this year, and at a glance it seemed to be the lowest profit profile of the trio. It's not the Big Picture sequel, and it's not the Thanksgiving fairy tale princess epic Mona, the quirky gem of a comedy, which sold itself as a zippy talking animal comedy, but turned out to be a potent metaphor for race relations and fear-based social control, and superb review and terrific word of mouth. It sits alongside Deadpool as the holy crap success story of the year, and now it's on the cusp of crossing the 1 billion mark worldwide with $91 million worldwide. It's the fourth biggest animated film, our behind Toy Story 3, $1.063 billion, 1.159 billion, and Frozen's $1.276 billion is the sixth biggest non-sequel prequel for of all time, behind Alice in Wonderland, Jurassic Park $1.029 billion, including the 2013 3D reissue, Frozen $1.27 billion, Titanic $2.186 billion, and Avatar $2.787 billion. It is the Walt Disney's 11th biggest movie ever globally. Oh, and it is the second biggest original movie ever released, not accounting for inflation. behind only James Cameron's Avatar. Zootopia was not based on a television show, a comic book, a novel, or a stage play. It was not a sequel, prequel, or reboot from an existing franchise. It is not based on an actual historical event. It was an entirely original concoction. The hook of Zootopia was basically here is a Disney's animated feature that looks quite good. And the critics say it's quite good. And the film itself did its rest after a gonzo $75 million opening weekend. Disney all the heck out of it, of course, with a variety of gimsticks, the theatrical, the year in movies, posters, and that killer, slot-based thriller that plays in front of Star Wars. The Force Awakens. But once the movie opened, it just kept going and going well beyond realistic expectations for a $75 million animated opener. We $36 million domestic and not quite there yet. The film has earned a remarkable 4.56 a weekend to final multiplier, which is one of the larger ones in recent memory for a wide release. It spent 13 consecutive weeks in the top 10, putting it right behind Avatar 14 weeks and Frozen 16 weeks. Among pretty much any film over the last decade, the film has placed itself at the forefront of next year Best Animated Feature Oscar race, and there may be a Best Picture push depending on what falls away. Zootopia arrives on VOD, DVD, Blu-ray in just over a week, so I imagine it's near the end of the line, but it's been a hell of a run. For surprising any realistic expectations for a film that I merely hoped would be Let's Go Nuts, alternative to be Pixar sequel and fairy tale epic, beyond the fact that it a lot of would be original franchises we get these days seem to stem from animation, Despicable Me, Kung Fu Panda, Toy Story etc. I just wanted to make a note of it. You don't need me to make a bullet point list of why Zootopia kicked as a much box office, but as it did, but a tip of the hat is in order, especially considering how much more digital ink we spent discussing why a given movie did not work. Frozen was a culmination of Disney's slow march back to the top of the animation mountain, as well as a declaration that they were willing to embrace their cultural legacy as top tier purveyors of fairy tale musical adventure. Zootopia was confirmation that the brand that is Disney's animation has grown to such a point where, as it was in the walking sleeping beauty era, the very fact that is the Disney's animated feature is enough to turn it into a must-see event. Now let's see if it can also be the second biggest movie ever after Titanic to not be a sequel and not to spawn a sequel. Disney's Zootopia scored the fourth biggest March opener, ever debuting to $73.7 million over the weekend. The animated story about a rabbit who joins the police force ranks as the biggest Disney's animation launch, not to Best Pixar debut, outstripping Frozen, the 2012 blockbuster that bought to $64.7.4 million, with no major family film opening until The Jungle Book lands on April 15. Zootopia as well positioned to be the de facto choice for moviegoers with children for the next month. Overseas, where Zootopia has been playing for 3 weeks, the film added another $63.4 million to its haul, pushing its global total to $32.5 million. The film continues a sterling comeback run for Disney Animation, which had reached creative and commercial nadir in the early with the likes of Home on the Range and Treasure Planet. As Christie explained in her review, Disney's Zootopia is the best shit you don't think this would be a movie about racism, but it totally its movie since Attack the Block Hollywood be its name. To sum up, Judy Ginnifer Goodwin plays a rabbit cop. Don't call her cute. Only rabbits can call other rabbits cute. Who teams up with a con artist Fox Jason's Bateman to track down a missing otter named Emmett Otterton. Because we've mopsed over the course of the investigation, Judy comes to be aware of some of the prejudices she inadvertently holds about foxes and other predators. The point laid out for the elementary school audience, but worth hearing for some adults as well, is that racism, particularly in the 21st century, isn't all burning crosses and segregated school. Otherwise, good people have unconscious bases that they need to be acknowledged and worked through. Zootopia specifically frames racism as something that it is the responsibility of the privileged to nut up and deal with. If they do, we get a more empathetic, harmonious society. If they don't, Zootopia big twist in that the big bad is actually Belvedere Jenny Slatt, the horrid assistant mayor of Zootopia. She is Judy's first friend in Zootopia, telling the bunny cop that never gets old that we little guys have to stick together. Just as Judy faces pushback for essentially being an affirmative action hire, Belvedere is constantly pushed around by the mayor, a line, a fact that Belvedere attributes to her being a literal sheep. Belvedere's pride is revealed to be something more sinister when he tells her that she has the one who's developed a drug that basically reverses predators' evolution and turns them savage. With a bulk of Zootopia population fearing that every tiger, lion, or bear, oh my daddy, she will go nuts and attack them. It's easy for Belvedere to claim power for herself. So Zootopia bad guy is someone who manipulates the public biases against a minority for her own political gain. She does this by stirring up engine, harassing fear. Sound familiar? Donald Trump rabbit also relevant. Belvedere, like Trump, appeals to perceived persecutions complex makes up 90% of Zootopia population, just as white Christians hold the majority of power in America. But oh noes, they are trying to take your God-given right to deny rights order. Let me pop on over to my graphics for a moment and weep about guns and birth control. Of course, Belvedere, not a direct analog for Trump, because animated movies take years to get done, and Trump only decided, sure, he will try this politics shit like 5 minutes ago. But as has been pointed out at nauseam, Trump is the logical conclusion to a Republican tradition of fear mongering that has been in high gear for about 15 years or so, and Belvedere seems to be actually believe in what he's saying, as opposed to Trump, who would claim to be a lifelong supporter of NAMBLA if he thought it would get him in the White House. But still, the framework is there, and a message for Zootopia is ultimately a hopeful one. We have to shove all this talk shit out into the light, examine it, and make a real, honest, continual effort to correct it, instead of letting fear of people who mean us no damn harm, or those transgender children twist us into something ugly. Anyway, I am sure we have about 15 minutes before the inevitable backlash against Zootopia starts. But for now, I am going to enjoy celebrating how Disney has packaged a an assessment for a phrase in America into a movie where there are tiger dancing in go shot. In 2022, we are head back to the Zootopia, the sprawling metropolis populated by talking mammal from Ginny, but Vicky's shroves to neck, yoga practicing yak, That's because the Academy Award winning animated movie Zootopia is getting a spin off series on Disney Plus. So, this year is the perfect time to finally do a rewatch and to revisit just what made this movie so lovable to kids and adults alike. It all begins with a comedic noir tale set in the endlessly interesting Zootopia, where the consistently understatement bunny cop Judy Hopps, Ginnifer Goodwin, team up with the Fox-Can artist Nick Wilde, Jason Bateman, to find a missing otter. The case is far from straightforward, entangling them with the Chendertown Mafia before nearly getting them killed at the hands of a feral jaguar in the rainforest district. Of course, finding the missing mammal only leads to more questions. They are all feral and kept in a lab, where Mayor Lionheart is hiding them and trying to understand why these predators have gone savage. The city of Zootopia soon succumbs to fear, with animals afraid of their neighbor. But the jury gets an unexpected break in the case. The action-packed third act revealed the conspiracy at the heat of the mystery, and the key themes at work in it. In the end, proves to be more than just a typical Disney movie about talking animal. Also, Mayor Lionheart was coming up to this strange pattern of predators turning savage. The animal behind it all is actually his seemingly innocent assistant, the little sheep Belvedere Janice let it all come together once Judy discovered that night, however, that mini Cleo forum earlier is not referencing the wolf guarding Lionheart's lab, but is actually a name for a type of plant. If ingested, night owl can make any mammal, predator, or prey turn into a teeth first, no questions kind of animal. Crucially, it's the same plant that Duke Wellstone stole on Judy first day as a cop, which leads her to unravel how it was being used on the missing predator. She and Nick discovered that Belvedere orchestrated a nefarious plan. She enlisted a few rams to go full Breaking Bad and develop a drug from the night hauler, then covertly snapped various predators avoided, turning them feral. She wanted to make the city prey populations believe predators were reverting to their carnivore ways because she's got a chip on shoulder about being small and overlooked. Our villain is using far to stoke division. Director Baron Howard told Variety. He pointed out the third act taps into real world concern about governing with fear, showing its harmful effect in sense that it close to home. At the peace rally, a pig shouts at a cheetah to go back to the forest. In the end, Nick and Judy outsmart Belvedere by swapping the night hauler darts with blueberries. Then Nick pretends to be feral. Judy reenacts her death scene from the opening school play and a record Belvedere's villain monologue on Judy's carrot pen, exposing her plot to the public. At the center of Zootopia is a theme of discrimination and prejudice, but there is no perfect one-to-one comparison to our own world. As Zootopia's first bunny cop, Judy faces bias reminiscent of sexism. Chief Bogo makes assumptions about her capabilities based on her small size, relegating her to the job of traffic cop despite her demonstrated skill at the academy. Meanwhile, the predator and prey dynamic speaks of racism, with a majority group scared of a minority that are stereotyped for being violent. It's a good exploration of the theme, as long as you don't try to make it perfectly fit our social dynamic or questions what predators eat now if they don't hunt prey. The idea for the movie was rooted in animal dynamics first. On a research trip to Africa, director Byron Howard watched lions drink water side by side with gazelles and zebra He thought it was an interesting social dynamic and likened it to the human cities, where different groups of people clash over ideas but still work together for the basics of survival. That's where the premise came from. He told Splatfilm, even these animals in Zootopia have evolved and created this incredible civilization. What if they still held onto some of those sublimated fear and mistrust that have been around for thousands of years? For the film, the creators consulted an expert on bias and discrimination, Dr. Shakti Butler, who told them that subtle bias can be the most harmful, making the movie tackle subtle bias and the dangers that it presents for people who think their bias is thing of the past felt relevant to our own world. Howard told Zootopia News Network. The core of the story is Judy's journey from naivete to realizing the widespread prejudice against predators is nothing of the past and exists within herself. After Judy and Nick recover all the missing mammal, she asks him to be her partner. On the face of it, Zootopia says Walt Disney's Animation Studio on safe ground. This is the Disney of Robin Hood and Mickey Mouse cute. Animals working on hind legs, tucking up cozy. This is the Disney of Robin Hood and Mickey Mouse cute. Walking on hind legs, tucking up cozy plateaued. A familiar formula ready to delight preteens and be packaged for enthusiastic toy merchandise. But Zootropolis has more in common with Pixar than it first appears. The fictional universe it presents, a human-free world where mammals have evolved into a bustling, civilized society, is vividly realized, richly detailed, and very funny. Our guide through this world is Judy Hopps, voiced by Ginnifer Goodwin, a bunny cop in a body cop movie, paired with a mismatched partner. A Fox Hope is very much a Disney heroine for a post-Frozen world, peppy and independently minded. Despite the urge of her carrot-forming parents to give up her dream, she becomes Zootropia's first rabbit police officer. Her partner Nick Wilde is a witty hustler played with sarcastic relish by Jason's Bateman in the Wilde. They are enemies, here they form an uneasy partnership as they are both assigned to a missing animal case. In the grand tradition of the genre, the mismatched pair gradually learn to get along. What they uncover at this goes all the way to the top conspiracy, raises questions over what is to mean to evolve past your biology in a city where former bestial foes share on uncomfortable truths. It serves as a smart analog for the debates on immigration that rage in our human world. It's not domain into which you can often see Disney's venture. Of course, political metaphors will bypass the youngster and yet the twisty machinations of the novel little stories sometimes get lost among the furry shenanigans. This means for adults, the joy is often to be found in the background. Beavers as construction worker, Floors working the desk at the Department of Motor Vehicle, Shakira as a gazelle, but it remains entertaining throughout a testament to the inventiveness of the on-screen action and Pixar's influence. In a world there where mammals have evolved from savage predators and make prey into civilized small-town rabbit, Judy Hopps dreams of becoming a police officer in the big city, Zootopia. In spite of her short stature, hard work and determination lead Judy to the top of her class at a police academy. And thanks to new mayoral initiative encouraging the hiring of small mammal on the Zootopia police force, Judy lands her dream job at the city's central precinct. Unfortunately, even though Judy has support from the mayor's office, she is not treated with the same respect by her fellow officer. and the first president had Chief Bogo sidelines the new recorrect with parking ticket duty. Underrated Judy attempts to make the most of her job as a meter maid until she is outwitted by a cunning fox. Nick Wilde Jason's Batman, despite years of progress, relations between predator and prey can still be tense, even in Zootopia, and Judy is humiliated for letting a fox take advantage of her good nature. After all, Judy's father had warned her, first and foremost, to steer clear of foxes. Bucking her reservation, Judy ultimately realizes that Nick possessed a street savvy and local connection she needs in order to solve Zootopia's biggest case. Law-abiding mammals are going missing, and Chief Bogo has no leads. Brought to life by Walt Disney Animation Studio, the branch of Disney that is, most recently, responsible for Frozen and Big Hero. Zootopia was originally scripted by George Bush before collaborators Baron Howard and Rich Moore joined the project as co-director. Fortunately, the more the merrier, as Bush, Howard, and Moore assembled a quality animated picture together. Zootopia is filled with lovable character and a heartfelt message for kids, along with layered subtext for adults that is both timely and moving. Poignant storytelling, vibrant animation, and memorable heroes produce an imaginative throwback. Viewers young and old will relish in the Zootopia world, which features a clever mix of archetypical Disney tropes blended with pop culture references. Which features a clever mix of archetypical Disney tropes blended with pop culture preferences. Unlike laser CGI animated film, which might lean hard on of-the-moment memes for cheap laugh, Zootopia is a timeless allegory, one that magnifies the features and, more importantly, the troubles of human society through a fictional mammalian civilization, alongside clever bites that poke fun at the real world, such as laugh out loud scene at the DMV, Department of Mammal Vehicles. Zootopia is at its core a cautionary tale of prejudice, discrimination, and overt xenophobia, arriving at a time when the world might need a reminder on the subject. It could sound aggrandizing to suggest that a CGI animated film about a tie-wearing fox and a law-enforcing rabbit fighting crime in a city full of animals is one of the most socially progressive films in recent memory, but Zootopia is deserving of the claim. Underneath its colorful animal character, Bush, Howard, and Moore have delivered a treatise on fear of outsider and the other, as well as the nagging prejudices that plague even the most open-minded people and fictional anthropomorphics. Based on those achievements, some moviegoers might worry that Zootopia is saddled by heavy-handed social commentary, but Disney's latest animated offering moves at a lively pace and can be appreciated on multiple levels. The reluctant friendship and subsequent banter between Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde serves as an engaging narrative backbone, punctuated by witty callback and clever character dynamics throughout, not to mention solid voice acting work from Ginnifer, Goodwin, and Jason Bateman, thanks to Nan's parallel in Judy, as well as Nick's individual backstories. Zootopia succeeds in highlighting that further develop and complement each character. As in any good buddy duo film, neither hero is stronger or more developed than the other, allowing Judy and Nick to play off their respective idiosyncrasies in equal measure. Judy is an uptight but well-intentioned overachiever that inspires her friend to greatness, and Nick is a laid-back, smooth talker who, in spite of a good heart, still has a mischievous side. To then end, Zootopia takes right and true body, top drops, and injects a fresh layer of conflict. That said, other characters in the film are relegated to small roles, pit stops along the way, as Judy and Nick bounce from one corner of Zootopia to the next. The film's villain, in particular, is half-cooked and woefully predictable, even in a movie aimed at kids, and certain sport players are little more than one joke set-dressing. Still, even the most tiny drawn character in a Zootopia served their primary purpose to be entertaining and lay a solid foundation for possible expansion in future series installments. In particular, fans, young and old, should be eager to see more of Flash, Officer Benjamin, Mr. Big, and Chief Bogo, a testament to the strength of Bush world building and the memorability of even the smallest Zootopia characters. Zootopia is playing in 2D, 3D, and 3D IMAX theater, and a return on an upgraded ticket is especially subjective since Zootopia is CG animation. It looks great in 3D, yet like most Disney 3D films, the director aimed for comfortable and immersive use of the depth rather than pop-out effective, which may be underwhelming to viewers who want to notice 3D whenever the output for the ad. Similarly, despite being the first Disney's animated film shown in IMAX since 2002, Treasure Island, the IMAX format is not necessity for Zootopia either. Viewers who don't mind paying for a premium ticket should hesitate either, since they will get to enjoy a great movie on bigger screen size with sharper sound. Even when Zootopia falls into an animation and buddy cop movie traps, the filmmakers inject enough fresh material to ensure even the most familiar moments still entertain. The movie's central stars, brought to life by superb computer animation and spirited voice work, are sure to be fan favorite at indie theater, at home, and at Disney's theme park, setting the stage for new Disney movie franchise and no doubt future adventure in Zootopia. Beyond financial and artistic success, Zootopia's greatest strength is its message, which challenges moviegoers, young and old, to be more tolerant, compassionate, and loving. A blend of classic Disney-inspired animation and progressive social commentary, Zootopia is a delightful and humbling film that also issues a timeless challenge when it comes to accepting others. We still have a long way to go. Zootopia runs 108 minutes and is rated PG for some thematic element, rude humor and action. Now playing in 2D, 3D and IMAX 3D theater. Let us know what you thought of the film in the comment section. An anthropomorphic hippopotamus in a business suit will always be welcome. To that end, Disney's Zootopia lies in the UK, but Zoomania in Germany. Make of these permutations which you will, has solid protection from criticism, backed in, from enormous elephants to zippy walls. All creatures, great and small, are dressed in funny outfits and, thanks to some very expensive computer, doing adorable things. A stoker yak voiced by Tommy Gong. It takes a considerate effort to not at least chuckle. Luckily, there is just enough of a story here to keep the over 8 set engaged once the novelty wears off. The world of Zootopia is one of with no humans. All animals live together in a basic tolerance. Predators have had this savagery bred out of them, so a lion can be near a sheep and everyone is chill. This is not to say that there is not residual prejudice just because he happened to be a fox, is a phrase a young Judy Hopps, Ginnifer Goodwin, reminds her provincial bunny parents when they bring up a touchy moment from her childhood. Judy is an idealist and, thanks to the mayor's mammal inclusion's intuitive, the first bunny to graduate from the police academy. Soon she is zooming away from the farmland to the glammy city of Zootopia, where anyone can be anything, but she still needs to remind a well-meaning but misaggressive cheetah that only a bunny can call another bunny cute. The city itself, the best part of the picture, a gorgeous melange of design element. Its center has a touch of Fatroma, but it is also Sahara Square, Chinatown, the Rainforest District, and Little Redonda. That last fight is especially funny because when even Judy Hopps is racing through it, she looks like Godzilla storming on Choco. Judy's zealous nature gets her in trouble with the police chief Idris Elba, voicing a giant water buffalo. But he should not be selling her short and sticking her with meter mad Judy. Naturally, she the one that's going to crack the case of the 14 missing mammal. She does not do it alone. She inserts Nick Wilde, a convincing, silly fox voiced by Jason Bateman, to help her, and when they work together and overcome their bigotry, they are life lessons blazing off the screen. But here is the where Zootopia gets a little interesting. There is natural independent to the story when he bad guy gets captured. But there is a twist. I would not normally get into such late in a game story details, but there is really not much else meriting discussion beyond hissing at the painfully drawn out parody of The Godfather or apologizing that we are going to annoy you humor at the slot run department of mammal vehicle. The missing mammals are being held because of some reason. They have reverted to their savage status and have committed PG-rated atrocities. Judy says some problematic things during a press conference meant within moment the bliss of Utopia is shattered. Soon society develops into an enormous Trump rally with an unhelpful press corps of fanning the flames of xenophobia and ignorance. Which will be anyone who tries to argue a one-to-one comparison between the predators, vibrate team, and any real-life controversy. It flash-ons everything from typical right-wing radio cliches to genre false flag paranoia. Is somewhat heavy material for a film aimed at children, but perhaps very necessary in an age where a beer-stained uncle might have ruined Thanksgiving wearing a Make America Great Again baseball cap. It's still Disney, and it concludes happily, and without much nonsense. There is ample space given for prey like Judy to apologize to unjustly accused predators like her fox buddy, and for everyone to grow. It's a good message, and one that will no doubt infuriate the right, who will say that Disney spent, however, many millions producing propaganda in favor of, for instance, the Iran deal, to pull one of 100 different interpretations out of my ear. That is a skewed picture with funny graphics and giza will be manipulated to further fuel hate is just all the more evidence that we have not yet fully evolved beyond our savage animal state. Zootopia is released in the US on 4 March and as Zootropolis in the UK on 25 March. From the company that brought you to the utopian simplicity of its small world comes a place where mammals of all shapes, sizes, and dilatory preferences not only live in a harmony, but also are encouraged to be whatever they want, a revisionist animal kingdom in which lion and lambs play down the merle love together, and a cutely woodly bunny can grow up to become the city's top cop. Welcome to Zootopia, where differences of race and species serve no obstacle to either acceptance or achievement. It is, in short, a city that only the mouse house could imagine, and one that lends itself surprisingly well to a classic LA style detective story a la The Big Lebowski or Inherent Vice, yielding an adult-friendly, with a cheaper, you can do it message for the cubes. Opening in several European countries weeks ahead of its March for domestic release, Zootopia is full of motor-mouthed character and American culture in jokes, no surprise, considering it was directed by Baron Howard, whose girl power tangled kicked off the recent Disney's revival, and Simpsons Wet Richmore, who previously helmed Wreck-It Ralph, but that should pose a little obstacle to its worldwide appeal, boosted by some of the most huggable Disney's characters since Lilo and Stitch, while her two 25 bunny brothers and sisters are content to stay on the farm. Aspirational rabbit Judy Hopps, Ginnifer Goodwin, shows an early aptitude for conflict management, stepping in when a schoolyard bully hassles or classmate. Not so surprisingly, the offender happens to be a fox. Judy does not give in the such spaces, trapping, insisting that jerks come in all shapes and sizes. So Judy hero, and despite the imitations of her TV scale, Judy enlists in the Zootopia Police Academy, struggling at first before outratting her larger rival. Graduating at the top of her classes, Judy packs her bags for a job in the big city, which is like a cross between one of those shiny 21st century Dubai complexes, featuring indoor skiing and surfing and the new Disney theme, Park Argent, complete with climate spaces, subdivisions like Thundertown and Sahara Scare. There is far too much to take in here, as the opening scene of The Lion King promises, a movie whose stunning African was downright simplicity compared with it what Zootopia has to establish, and Howard and Moore struggle to make their introduction anywhere near as impressive despite leaning heavily on an unremarkable I Want song called Try Everything, performed by Gazelle, the well-salved pop idol, well-meaning sample lyric, I wanna try even thought I could fail. Doing justice to an elaborate new environment poses a familiar problem, slightly improved from last year's Tomorrowland, in the sense that Judy, who probably should have grown up in town, like everyone else in Zootopia, takes a long train ride into the city, ogling the various districts as it passes. Its sequences worth studying a dozen times down the road just to catch all the teeny detail, from the hippo drink station to the plastic hamster tube. Although it's an awkward way to acquaint ourselves with the city. In theory, Zootopia's residents have evolved past distinction of predator and prey, which might explain the small matter of cartoon biology. Whether teeny mice or hawking reinforces, all animals have front-facing eyes, upright posture, and observable charms are throwback to be delightful character design feature in Disney Robin Hood 1973, which reimagined a human world populated entirely by animal, integrating characteristics of each species into the very different creature move. In progressive-minded Zootopia, a moose can co-anchor the evening news with a snow leopard without turning into an episode of an animal attack. That said, even the most basic social interaction remain tense, as the city's caste system matches animal to the roles that suit them best. The DMV is all too accurately staffed by a slow-moving slot. For example, while still adhering closely to the hierarchy of the food chain, with a few amusing exceptions, including a cameo by Pinky and the Brain, actor Morrissey LaMericke as a John Corleone-like architect Shrew. As far as copy are concerned, it's the Big Falls, Reyes Tigers and Cap Buffalo-like capped Bogo Idris Elba who are responsible for maintaining law and order. Judy may be the first to benefit from the new mammal inclusion intuitive device by Major Lionheart J.K. Simmons, but Rogo is not ready to trust her with a real investigation, placing the rookie on parking matter. Judy Wilde assigns everyone else key roles in a major missing person's case. If Bogo's behavior smacks of speciesism, that's no accident. The 2016 Disney's animated movie Zootopia was directed by Byron Howard and Rich Moore and starred Jesus Bateman as the sneaky and sarcastic fox Nick Wilde and Ginnifer Goodwin as the bright-eyed bunny aspiring to become the first police officer of her species, Judy Hopps. This film is a story set in the fictional world of Zootopia, where animals live together like humans, but with an underlying sense of segregation between them. Judy, who has lived in a rural area her whole life, expects Zootopia to be the perfect world everyone makes it out to be, but is soon hit with the reality that life has its ups and downs. The conflict and the film is a case of missing animal, which Judy intends to solve, with everyone looking down on her for being a bunny, sometimes literally. The case becomes the deciding factor between her losing her job as a cop or keeping it. This film is utterly brilliant, being such a happy looking family film at the surface while having very mature themes of racism and discrimination beneath the surface. The film is utterly brilliant, being such a happy looking family film at the surface while having very mature theme of racism and discrimination beneath the surface. Nick Wilde in a fox. So society expect him to be a silly and Nick Wilde is a fox. So society expect him to be a silly and unswarthy predator. Judy Hope is a bunny, whose society accept to be a farmer, but she is strong and decided that her destiny is to make the world a better place as a police officer. Bateman and Goodwin play off each other flawlessly, making for a very fun and emotional due to lead the film. The animation was gorgeous as well, especially when Judy first takes the mongrel into Zootopia and in a rainforest district. The animation is so well done that you can literally see each individual hair on every animal move with character movement and weather condition. The character designs are also so fun and creative, being a mixture of human trait and animal appearance. I also adored the soundtrack began so fitting with each moment of joy, suspense or sadness. I also enjoy the Shakira song that plays in the beginning and end of the movie. As far as flaw go, I really don't have any. Maybe it would have improved the film to have a few subtle of foreshadow for who the eventual antagonist is, but that did not really bother me at all. My only small flaw with this movie comes from having seen the trailer so many times. She's not seen as funny as it is. Putting it in the trailer and having seen it so many times makes it really drag and be as serious as a joke intended to be. That flaw is not with the movie, however, so I cannot take away from it anyway. In the end, I found that the acting, animation, story, and soundtrack are also well done, making this is an all-around masterful film and destined to be a classic for a year to come. I happily and wholeheartedly recommend that everyone go see this film as soon as possible. This film is essential for children and will teach them lessons that will affect their acceptance of others for their entire life. With mindless children's entertainment such as Minion existing there, movies like these days Disney makes consistently must be put in the forefront and children must be exposed to them. When Zootopia hit theater in 2016, it was not just another talking animal movie. It was a surprise hit that made everyone wonder, wait, this movie is that good? Disney, usually known for its princess and talking toys, to us a curveball with a clever, fast-paced crime story set in a city full of animals. Suddenly, the world was obsessed with Judy Hopps' determination and Nick Wilde's charm. But what really made Zootopia stand out was not just the quirky character or the sleek animation. It was the surprising depth, from social commentary on prejudice to a subtle wing at political correctness. This movie was not just for kids. It was smart, sharp, and somehow managed to be both hilarious and thought-provoking. While it did not have the iconic status of other Disney giant, Zootopia quietly became a cultural phenomenon. So, is it Walt Disney's most underrated hit? Let's dig into how this later movie, about a bunny cop and a fox hustler, pulled off the ultimate surprise. Who would have thought that a bunny cop and us silly folks would deliver a box office knockout? Zootopia did exactly that, carving at its place as just a third Disney's animated movie to top $1 billion at the box office. What started as a fun-filled animated caper about animals living in a bustling urban jungle turned into a global phenomenon, not just for its catchy tune and talking animal, but for its surprising deep dive into diversity, inclusion, and social justice, all without feeling like a TED talk for kids. Originally in Hollywood, mostly dead. Despite recent trouble in sequel land, the vast majority of financially successful films are either sequel, remakes, reboots, part of an already popular franchise, or adaptations of books or either other existing work. So on the rare occasion a truly original film breaks through the pack, it's cause to celebrate. Disney's Zootopia crossed the $1 billion worldwide box office mark this week, surpassing another Disney's classic, The Lion King, as the second biggest original movie ever behind only Avatar. Zootopia, a buddy cop adventure that explores a world populated by anthropomorphic animals, was an entirely original idea. It's not based on anything other than the imagination of Disney's brain trust. The list does not include James Cameron's Titanic, the second highest grossing film of all time, because it's based on a historical event. There is also some debate over whether or not Disney's Frozen is a truly original film. It would be second on this chart with $1.277 billion. While inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale, The Snow Queen, the film has significantly changed during development. Another borderline case is Roland Emmerich's Disaster film 2012, which does not appear on this list because the director himself said the film was inspired by a book. Emmerich Films' Independence Day, however, is included. It's really tough to cork the top 100 grossing film of all time with an original idea, and it's even thought to pass the $1 billion mark with one. Zootopia is the first original Disney film ever to do so. Still, it lags far behind other Disney films that are not original, including Toy Story 3, 2 Star Wars sequel, 4 Marvel's movies, and 2 entries in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Disney deserves a lot of credit despite an obsessive strategy of adapting all of its cartoon into live-action film. The studio has led a charge of originally with many of its animated features. 6 of the top 15 highest grossing original films are Disney Pixar films, and of course several Disney films that are now part of huge franchises like Toy Story were once original. The list of original box office success is a tribute to filmmaker Christopher Nolan in particular. With Inception and Interstellar, Nolan is the rare artist who has twice made wholly original films that also smashed the box office. That said, much of what raised his profile as a director in first place was his Batman trilogy. As for Zootopia, Disney is reportedly thinking about a sequel. In a world where mammals have evolved from savage predators or meek prey into civilized small-town rabbit, Judy Hopps, Ginnifer Goodwin dreams of becoming a police officer in the big city, Zootopia. In spite of her short stature, hard work and determination lead Judy to the top of her class at the police academy, and thanks to a new mayoral initiative encouraging the hiring of small mammals on the Zootopia police force, Judy has her dream job at the city's central precinct. Unfortunately, even Judy has support from the mayor's office. She is not treated with the same respect by her fellow officers, and the first precinct head, Chief Bogo Adris Alba, sidelined the new required with parking ticket duty. Underrated, Judy attempts to make the most of her job as a meter maid until she is outwitted by a convincing fox Nick Wilde Jason's Batman, despite years of progress, relations between predator and prey can still be tense, even in Zootopia, and Judy is humiliated for letting a fox take advantage of her good nature. After all, Judy's father had warned her first and foremost to steer clear of foxes. Bucking her reservations, Judy ultimately realizes that Nick possesses the street savvy and local connection she needs in order to solve Zootopia's biggest case, law abiding mammals are going missing. And Chief Bogo has no leads. Brought to life by Walt Disney Animation Studio, the branch of Disney that is most recently responsible for Frozen and Big Hero. Zootopia was originally scripted by Jared Bush before collaborator Baron Howard Tangle and Rich Moore Wreck-It Ralph joined the project as co-director. Fortunately, the more the merrier, as Bush, Howard, and Moore assembled a quality animated picture together. Zootopia is filled with lovable characters and a heartfelt message for kids, along with a layered subtext for adults that is both timely and moving. Pregnant storytelling, vibrant animation, and memorable heroes produce an imaginative throwback to classic Disney animation for modern moviegoers. Viewers, young and old, will relish in the Zootopia world, which features a clever mix of archetypical Disney tropes blended with top culture references. Unlike laser CGI animated films, which might lean hard on every moment, memes for cheap laugh, Zootopia is a timeless allegory, one that magnifies the features and, more importantly, the trouble of human society through a fictional mammalian civilization alongside clever hebrews that poke fun at a real world, such as a laugh out loud scene at the DMV Department of Mammal Vehicle. Zootopia is at its core a cautionary tale of prejudice, discrimination, and overt xenophobia, arriving at a time when a world might need a reminder on this subject. It could sound aggrandizing, such as that a CGI animated film about a tie-wearing fox and a law-enforcing rabbit fighting crime in a city full of anthropomorphic animals is one of the most socially progressive films in recent memory, but Zootopia is deserving of the claim. Underneath its colorful animal characters, Bush, Howard, and Moore have delivered address this own fear of outsider and be other, as well as the nagging prejudices that plague even the most open-minded of people and fictional anthropomorphs. Based on those achievements, some moviegoers might worry that Zootopia is saddled by heavy-handed social commentary, but Disney's latest animated offering moves at a lively pace and can be appreciated on multiple levels. The reluctant friendship and subsequent banter between Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde serves as an engaging narrative backbone, punctuated by witty callback and clever characters dynamics throughout. Not to mention solid voice acting work for Ginnifer, Goodwin, and Jason Bateman, thanks to Non's parallel in Judy, as well as Nick's individual black story. Zootopia succeeds in highlighting just exposition that further develop and complement each character. As in any good buddy duo film, neither hero is stronger or more developed than the other, allowing Judy and Nick to play off their respective idiosyncrasies in equal measure. Judy is an object that inspires her friends to greatness, and Nick is a laid-back, smooth talker who, in spite of a good heart, still has a mischievous side to them, and Zootopia takes right and threw a body up tropes and injects a fresh layer of conflict, playing up underlying tensions between predators such as Nick and prey like Judy, in the city to reinforce the film's message of tolerance. As a result, there are plenty of opportunities for the filmmakers to wind their character up and watch the sparks fly. That said, other characters in the film are elected to small roles, pet pops along the way, as Judy and Nick Wilde from the corner of Zootopia to the next. The film's villain, in particular, is half-cooked and woefully predictable even in a movie aimed at kids, and certain sport glare or little more than one joke at set dressing. Still, even the most tiny drawn character in Zootopia serve their primary purpose. Still, even the most tiny drawn characters in Zootopia serve their primary purpose to be entertaining and lay a solid foundation for possible expansion in future series installment. In particular, fans young and old should be eager to see more of Flash, Officer Benjamin, Clouser, Ned Torrance, Mr. Big, and Chief Bogo Adris, a testament to the strength of Bush world building and the memorability of even the smallest Zootopia characters. Zootopia is playing in 2D, 3D, and 3D IMAX theater, and the return on an upgraded ticket is especially subjective since Zootopia is CG animation. It looks great in 3D, yet rather than pop-out effects which may be underwhelming to viewers who want to notice 3D whenever they output for the add-on. Similarly, despite being the first Disney animated film shown in IMAX since 2002, Treasure Island, the IMAX format is not a necessity for Zootopia either. Viewers who don't mind paying for a premium ticket should be hesitant either, since they will get to enjoy a great movie on a bigger screen size with sharper sound. Even when Zootopia falls into animation and buddy cop movie traps, the filmmakers inject enough fresh material to ensure even the most familiar moments still entertain. The movie's central star, brought to life by superb computer animation and separate voice work, are sure to be fan favorite at the theater, at home, and at Disney theme park, setting the stage for new Disney movie franchise and no doubt future adventure in Zootopia. Beyond financial and artistic success, Zootopia's greatest strength is its message, which challenges moviegoers, young and old, to be more tolerant, compassionate, and loving. A blend of classic Disney-inspired animation and progressive social commentary, Zootopia is a delightful and humbling film that also issues a timeless challenge. When it comes to accepting other, we still have a long way to go. Zootopia runs 108 minutes and is rated PG for some thematic elements, rude humor, and action. Now playing 3D, 2D, and IMAX 3D theater. Let us know what you thought of the film in the comment section. There is something satisfying about 5:30 something man going into an afternoon screening of an animated children's film that features talking animal and nurturing other audiences members of a similar age. That was my experience of Zootopia, renamed Zootopolis in the UK, as myself and 4 friends of a similar age found ourselves in a sparsely populated cinema where the average age of the viewer was over 20. This must have been a bad time for young audiences, as the global box office take of over $860 million indicates that audiences have been flocking to Disney's latest animated feature. The fact that my friends and I all enjoyed it immensely demonstrates that so-called family films offer something for all ages. And co-director Byron Howard, Rich Moore, and Jared Bush after a story that is inspiring, animation that is gorgeous and immersive, and an entertaining engagement with genuinely serious themes that never overwhelms the drama. Zootopia is a brilliantly designed world in which anthropomorphic mammals have developed beyond their natural instinct of predator and prey. An opening sequence explained This and the opportunities now available to mammals of all shapes and size. For protagonist Judy Hopps, voiced by Ginnifer Goodwin, something borrow. The opportunity he pursued is to be the first rabbit in the police department of the eponymous city, a shining beacon of civilization and community. Wolves can be aquarists, lemming can be accountant, jogger can be limo driver, and an architect, Sakio can be a crime lord. Really, but can a bunny make it as a cop? Despite being brought up in a farming community, Bunny borrows by her parents, Bonnie voiced by Bonnie Hunt, Cheaper by the dozen too, and Stu voiced by John Lack, Greal smashed and her many siblings to rise and still gathered. Obviously, Judy resolved to serve and protect in the city of Zootopia, where trains have different sized doors for giraffes and Mike. Beaver builds roads and Slout staff the department, a motor vehicle. But as one might expect, there is trouble in paradise, and Judy quickly learns that Zootopia is far from a utopia. Although she graduated top of her police academy class, Judy's little name, Bullish Captain Bogo, voiced by Adris Alba, based of no nation, initially assigns her to traffic duty. When she encounters a cynical con artist, Fox Nick Wilde, was voiced by Jason's Bateman, horrible boss too. The stage is set for a comedy adventure of mismatched buddies, hilarious hijinks, socio-political intrigue, and instinct various intelligence. Gramming that much material into a family film might sound like a tall order, but the weight and brio of Bush and co-writer Phil Johnson secret ensure that the film never feels overburdened nor its content seem jumbled. Expositions is neatly tied to theme that is itself tied to character. The narrative is a detective story in search of missing mammal, first mentioned in Bogo's briefing to his officer. This investigation is described as a top priority, but Judy is excluded because neither Bogo nor anyone else takes her seriously as a cop. Bogo is therefore prejudiced, a theme that the films explore in relation to race, gender, and even sexuality. With a very cleverly curated character, the film is therefore strikingly progressive in its engagement with this theme. In an era when fear and hate are also prominent in social discourse, it is truly wonderful to see a mainstream entertainment producer like Disney's criticizing the evil of prejudice and celebrating. The film displays this visually, such as when Judy is wafted by her fellow officers, including Rahanians, hippos, tiger, and bear, and when Nick attempts to purchase a popsicle from an elephant-run ice cream store. The visual inventions extend to the environment as well, as Zootopia is divided into climate control districts, including Thundertown in constant winter, Little Rodentia, where the buildings are the small size as our diminutive heroine, and Rainforest district that is structured on many levels. These areas offer such a wealth of visual detail with so many being, and you will miss them moment that the film is bound to reward repeat viewing. There are also several genuinely thrilling set pieces, including street chases, treetop swinging, superstitious searches, and a subway scramble. If all that was not enough, Zootopia is also very funny. I started laughing within the first 5 minutes and spent most of the film with a big grin across the face. The humor includes familiar brands such as Apple and Starbucks getting an animalistic twist, as well as Revson, The Godfather, and Frozen, and hilarious character moments such as Mayor Lionheart, voiced by J.K. Simmons, a gangster fox and out of shape cheetah, and the DME Claude's essence much trailed but still hilarious. There are also triumphant moments when Judy and Nick outwit their other adversaries, who come in many shapes, sizes, and color. Nor does the film talk down to its younger viewer, as the police investigation, criminal infrastructure, politics of City Hall, and media reaction are all handled in a way that is informative, narratively, comprehensively, And more often, that's not funny. Even the end credits provide further fun, with music star Gazelle delivering a song that is heartwarming while also be trappingly enjoyable. All things considered, Zootopia is a wonderful experience for all ages. I can't recommend this film enough for its wit and imagination. Its clear storytelling that intervenes micro and macro goals. Its laudable message about the importance of tolerance and diversity, and most of all, because it makes me happy. Dr. Vincent M. Gain is a film and television researcher. His first book, Exit and Social Engagement, in the film of Michael Mann, was published by Palgrave. On the face of it, Zootropolis is Walt Disney Animation Studio on safe ground. This is the Disney of Robin. This is the Disney of Robin Hood and Mickey Mouse cute. Animals walking on hind legs, tucking up cozy plateaus, a familiar formula, ready to delight pre-teens and be packaged for enthusiastic by merchandise. But Zootropolis has more in common with Pixar than it first appeared. The fictional universe it presents, a human-free world where animals have evolved into a bustling, civilized society, is widely realized, richly detailed, and very funny. Our guide through this world is a Judy Hopps, voiced by Ginnifer Goodwin, a bunny cop in a buddy cop movie, paired with a mismatched partner. A Fox Hopps is very much a Disney heroine for post-Frozen, world peppy and independently minded, despite the urge of her character forming parents to give up her dream. She becomes Zootopolis' first rabbit police officer. Her partner, Nick Wilde, is a wily hustler, played with sarcastic relish by Jason Bateman. In the will, they are enemy. Here they form an uneasy partnership as they are both assigned to a missing animal case. In the grand tradition of the genre, the mismatched pair gradually learn to get along. What they uncover at this goes all the way to the top conspiracy, raises questions over what it means to evolve past your biology. In a city where former bestial foes share an uncomfortable truth, it serves as a smart analogy for the debates on imagination that rage in our human world. It's not a domain into which you often see Disney. Of course, political metaphor will bypass the youngster, and yet the twisty mechanization of the novel little stories sometimes get lost among the funny shenanigans. This movie, for adults, the joy is often to be found in the background. Weaver as construction worker, Slots working the desk at the Department of Motor Vehicle, Shakira as the gazelle, but it remains entertaining throughout, a testament to the inventiveness of the on-screen action and Pixar's influence. The last creative of the house that Walt built, but Pixar reinvigorated shows no sign of showing an engaging animation for all ages. Zootropolis has more in common with Pixar than it first appeared. The fictional universe it represents a human, free world where mammals have evolved into a bustling, civilized society is vividly realized, richly detailed, and very funny.